On day one, 100% of the people make resolutions. But guess what? On day 30, there's only 25% of the people who are still sticking with their resolution. That's right. 1 month after the resolution is made, only 25% of the people are sticking with it. By mid-February, 80% of the people have abandoned their New Year's resolution. Why is that? I'm not claiming to have all the answers, but I'm telling you that if you'll listen to this podcast and the series that's coming throughout the month of January, I think we'll be able to figure this out. So let's take a little bit of time. Let's talk about that. Welcome to the Iron Pursuit Podcast, where men are forged by the truth of God's Word. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. This podcast is a call to biblical manhood. Here, we challenge men to rise above comfort, reject passivity, and live under the lordship of Jesus Christ. Each episode is designed to strengthen your faith, sharpen your character, and equip you to lead with integrity, grit, and grace. So whether you're a husband, a father, a brother, or a friend, this is your invitation to pursue the kind of manhood that honors God and changes generations. This is the Iron Pursuit. Well, Happy New Year, everybody. It's good to see all of you back again. I'm thankful that you are sticking with me throughout this past year and now into a new year. Man, this has been exciting, and I know that we're already into the new year by what is it, 4 or 5 days, I guess, by the time that this podcast airs. And this podcast series has been inspired by the new year. Now, this is going to go on throughout the month of January. I'm going to be talking to you about the power of purpose. And with New Year resolutions and the good intentions of people to, you know what they are, that people have intentions to do better. They want to be healthier. They want to accomplish more in the new year. They want to make more money in the new year, whatever it might be. I felt that with all of that, it would be a good idea to talk about how things could actually take a turn for the better in your new year. I believe that I can help you make things turn around for the better in the new year. Not saying that I'm some guru and that I've got it all figured out. I just believe that in the experiences of life that I've had, with some of the consistency that I've had in my life in different things, not in all things. I mean, those of you that really know me, you know that I'm not one of these guys that tries to claim that I've got it all, that I know it all, that I have it all figured out. It's not that at all. I can tell you right now, I have made plenty of resolutions that I've given up on, that I've failed. One of those resolutions has been weight loss over and over and over again throughout my lifetime. Weight has always been an issue for me, and actually right now, it's one of the things that I'm working on and I'm building some discipline in. And so maybe in my journey, I'll be able to help you too kind of overcome some of the things that you're doing. But what I have found is that when we have nailed down our purpose, we can accomplish a lot more things. And so the only way that things will ever change for the better is if you are willing to do the hard stuff. I want you to pay attention to what I just said. The only way that things are really going to change for the better in your life is if you're willing to do the hard stuff, if you're willing to take discipline seriously. Discipline is necessary, and discipline is a very serious issue. But not only do you need to be willing to do the hard stuff, take discipline seriously, but you also must find the purpose behind your motivation. If you do not have a purpose, if you do not have a why as to what you're doing, you will fail. In the month of January, all the way through this month, we're going to be talking about it. Again, I'm telling you about this series, The Power of Purpose. You know, research shows that most New Year's resolutions fail. And the exact number depends on how you measure it, but the general picture is very clear. Most resolutions don't last very long. Some behavioral research suggests that as many as 94% of New Year's resolutions fail by the end of February, and many surveys and analyses they show their reports show that only about 8 to 12% of people actually achieve the resolutions that they set in the beginning of the year. And there are other sources that say fewer than 10% of resolution makers actually accomplish what they set out to do. So the idea is that after about 30 days, a good number of people fall off the wagon they fall off the resolution wagon. And then after another 15 to 20 days, almost everybody, upwards of 80%, stop the resolution thing. That's why in the beginning of the year, those of us that have a discipline or a habit, if you will, of going to the gym on a regular basis all throughout the year, you see this influx of people that come into the gym around, January, the first week of January. And it seems like, man, they're all on fire that first week, that second week. And then about that third week, you really start to see people starting to fade away. They don't show up as much. They're the classes that were once overloaded, those HIIT classes or cardio classes or whatever they are, they were loaded up in the beginning of the month, and then all of a sudden they start to dwindle. But the New Year's resolution, usually the reason that they fail is because people, it's not because people lack desire. It's not because people lack intention. It's because the approach is flawed. And in this first episode of the new year, I want to talk to you about the approach. Before I actually get into talking about the purpose, I want to talk about the approach to this resolution. I want to talk about the approach to your new year. And here are, I should say, the core reasons. It's psychological, it's practical, and yet it's very deeply spiritual as well. And I want to talk to you a little bit about this, the psychological side, the practical, and the spiritual side, because all of these things are real, and all of these things contribute to the success or the failure of your resolution. Or even if we just throw the idea of the resolution out, just the changes that you want to make in your life, because you've got that old cliche, a new year, a new you, and different things like that. Whenever you look at this new year and starting to implement some different things in your life, maybe some different disciplines, maybe some new habits, whatever they might be, I want to talk to you about the psychological, the practical, and the spiritual advantages over this, and the core reasons as to why people tend to fall off the resolution wagon, if you will. So why do they fail? I want to talk to you about 7 things, all right? 7 things. The number one reason, or this isn't really the number one. I guess I'm trying to start from like number 7 to number 1, but this is the number 1 in this list that I have here. The first reason why people fail in their New Year's resolution is because they've built their resolution on emotion and not identity. Okay? It's built on emotion and not identity. Most resolutions start with guilt, frustration, and hype. I want you to just think about what I just said to you, okay? Think about how that resolutions start with guilt. Think about it. I'm tired of being out of shape. That was my thing for a long, long time. It was just like, I'm tired of being out of shape. I don't want to be fat. I want to fix myself. And this year, I'm finally going to do it, by God. I am going to turn this ship around and I'm going to head into the right direction. So it starts with guilt, it starts with frustration, it starts with hype. And now that we are so entrenched in social media and even in podcasts like this, you've got some influencer talking and telling you how to do things or suggesting what you should do. And all of a sudden, it seems like the guy on my side of the camera, like maybe you looking at me, all of a sudden, you would kind of feel like, well, he must have it. He must have it all right. He must have it all in line, and he must be doing good in all these areas. I'm just trying to let you know right now, I don't have it figured out. I don't have all of it figured out. I'm not sitting over here in this chair, in this podcast chair, trying to tell you that I have it and you need it. I'm not trying to tell you that at all. I'm trying to tell you that I've done the exact same thing. I have entered into a new year with a resolution where I was eaten up with guilt, frustration, and hype, and I was guilty of being overweight because I had gained weight from Thanksgiving and then in Christmas and then eating at New Year's Eve parties, on and on and on. Guys, those of you that know me, you know some of my story. But my dad passed away 11 years ago, and whenever my dad passed away, it was I think it was about a week after my dad passed away. I stepped on the scales, and I was 320 pounds. It was the heaviest I had ever been, 320 pounds. And man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't even recognize myself from when I had married my wife, coming in marrying my wife at about 240, 245. I've always been a big guy, but even through high school, I was a weightlifter and all of that. I was very active in football and track and field and different things like that. But man, I got bad out of shape, 320 pounds. And my dad died. My dad died of pancreatic cancer. And so whenever I realized what actually killed my dad, it was his eating habits. My dad was a diabetic. He was a serious diabetic. He had to take insulin. But my dad's idea of taking care of his diabetes was that if I eat a piece of cake, I'll just take an extra shot of insulin. And so, it was like, go buy the king size Snickers bar and a Diet Coke, and the Diet Coke kind of leveled it out or canceled it out. That was the mentality of my dad. It was very flawed and it was messed up. He had no self-control when it came to eating sweets and things that he shouldn't eat. And so I set out on a mission. I was going to lose some weight, and I did. And I'm telling you guys, whenever my dad died, it was like a switch went off in my brain. I'm talking about this was something that the only way I can explain it is that I went from not really caring about how I looked or how out of shape I was to all of a sudden being so focused and in the zone that I lost 100 pounds. 100 pounds, guys. Well, let me just be completely honest. I lost 97 pounds. Okay, 97 pounds. I got all the way down to, if I remember the number right, I got down to 237 pounds, something like that. I had not been that big since I hadn't been that small, I should say, since like 7th or 8th grade. Like I said, I'd always been big. But over the next 10 years, I would gain almost all that weight back. And it's only been, it's been 25 weeks ago that I started my new weight loss journey. 25 weeks ago, I had gotten all the way back up to 314 pounds. And I met a friend of mine, Colby Bouillon. Some of you guys know him. He's on Facebook. He's a very fit guy. He's my brother. I love him. and he has helped me with meal plans. He has gotten me on the right track, and now I'm heading in a direction that man, I've never been before. And you say, well, how did you lose the 100 pounds before? I lost it on starvation diet. It was really good for losing weight, but it was not good to maintain. Now with Colby, he's my coach. He's helping guide me and hold me accountable. He is showing me how to eat. I'm learning how to manage food. I'm learning why I should eat, and all of that. And so now I'm sitting here in front of you right now. Just take a look, guys. Take a look at this. You see this? If you're on Spotify and watching the video, you can see this. But this sweater that I have on tonight, and I did not do this on purpose. I promise I didn't do it, but it's kind of working into the podcast, actually. I have not put this shirt on since the 11th grade of high school. That's right. Since 11th grade, I have not put this sweater on. My football coach, Coach Brad Bradshaw, he gave me this shirt back then. This shirt was one of the sweaters that his dad's football team wore, and he gave it to me. It's very heavy. It's very warm, and it was the weather dropped. The temperature dropped pretty cold today, and so I put this sweater on. But I digress. I'm trying to tell you that I'm losing weight again. All right, I'm disciplined. I am learning, and I am doing things now that I have never done before in my life, and it's all because I have changed some things in my life, and that's where the motivation comes from. Because what I'm trying to tell you is that I've tried to lose weight before, and I set these resolutions, these New Year resolutions, and I set them on emotion. Like number one, the one I'm telling you about, we fail because our resolution is built on emotion instead of identity. And one of the things that God really convicted me about was that whenever I stand up to preach and teach, if I have a temple, I'm talking about my body, if my temple is not being taken care of, how can I tell people how to live their life for Christ whenever I'm not willing to do that myself? And so it's conviction in my life. I'm not trying to cast that off on you. I'm not trying to make you feel that way. I'm just letting you know where I'm at, and maybe something that I say or something that I do will help motivate you. So again, people set resolutions most of the time based off of guilt or frustration or hype. And they look at other people. They look at other people in social media and all these other things. And there's all this hype about what these folks are doing, but you're only seeing a small smidgen of it. It's a small portion of it, and they're not really telling you all the truth. Emotion is a terrible long-term fuel source. You cannot sustain anything based on emotion. You're not going to do that. When motivation fades, your behavior is going to follow. And so if you don't have the right motivation, which needs to be the purpose, and that's what we're talking about, the power of purpose. If you don't have the right motivation, you're going to fail. You're going to fall back, and you're going to back away from this resolution. Behavior doesn't change your life, okay? I want you to hear what I'm telling you. Behavior doesn't change life. Your identity does. Your identity changes your life. When you come to know who you are in Christ, you understand your purpose. You understand why God put you here, and you have the ability to change the direction in which you're going. Proverbs 23:7 says, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he." As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. What are you thinking about yourself? You see, if a man doesn't see himself differently, he will not live differently. He just won't do it. You have to see yourself differently, guys. You've got to see something inside of you differently than you've ever seen it before. And if you don't do it now, the question is when? And if you're not willing to do it right now, the question is why? What is it that's holding you back from seeing who Christ wants you to be, from seeing who God created you to be. If a man doesn't see himself differently, he's not going to live differently. Next, the reason resolutions fail is because goals are vague and they're unrealistic. I want you to just be for real here. Like, we have these unrealistic goals, okay? They're very vague. So let me just go back to my example of the weight loss. You know, like every new year, it'd be like, okay, I'm going to lose some weight. I'm going to lose some weight. And what I would say is, oh, I'm going to get healthy. I mean, how vague is that? I'm going to get healthy. What does that mean? Am I going to get mentally healthy, emotionally healthy? Am I going to get physically healthy? What does that mean? Maybe you're one of those guys that are like, hey, I'm going to read my Bible more. Okay. What does that mean? How are you going to do that? Maybe you're saying, I'm going to be a better husband this year. How does that look? What does that mean? I'm going to be a better father this year. How does that look? What does that mean? Quit being so vague and unrealistic. What I just said to you, like the quotes or the ideas of I'll get healthy and I'll read my Bible more or I'll be a better husband. These are not plans. These are wishes. It's not a plan. You're just wishing that you'll be healthy or that you'll read your Bible more or that you'll be a better husband or that you'll be a better father. You lack clarity. There's no plan. Most resolutions do. Most resolutions lack clarity. Most resolutions there's not a plan there. Most resolutions ignore time constraints. The reality of how long something will take is usually not considered. That it's like the truth of how long this is going to take for me to become healthy. How long is it going to take me to realistically lose 50 pounds? How long is that going to take? Well, in the way that I'm doing it right now, I'm actually right now 50 pounds lighter, maybe a little more. I'm probably around 55 pounds lighter than I was when I started 25 weeks ago, gentlemen. 25 weeks ago. And you want to know about discipline? You want to know about what this looks like? You have to understand that I have been eating on a meal plan. I have a meal plan that Colby helped build me. I have a meal plan, and I've been eating the same exact thing every day for 25 weeks. Now, when I say every day, I mean there's some days where I've kind of broken the cycle, where I've changed it up and I ate a few different things. But for 25 weeks consistently, I've been eating the same thing. Now, that's a plan. It had clarity. It was something that was simple. Stick to this. Let's see how your body reacts to it. There's time constraints. I have to figure out, hey, this is not going to happen overnight. It's going to be consistency over a long-term period. And I have to get to the place where I realize that there's going to be resistance, all right? Change is harder than we think. And so especially whenever you're trying to lose weight. I mean, when you're gaining weight, gaining weight is easy to do. Getting lazy is easy to do. Just sitting in your lazy boy chair is easy to do. Being passive is easy to do. But whenever you begin to estimate the resistance that it's going to take, and you say, hey, this is going to take some time. This is going to take some effort. Change is harder than I thought. Then you're going to be able to see some really good change, and you're going to see results in what you're doing. When goals are not specific, failure feels inevitable and discouraging. You must have specific goals. So right now, as we're going through this podcast, I know we're only on number 2. This is going to be one of those lengthier podcasts, guys, because I have a lot of information I want you to have right here on this very first episode of the year. But I want you to write this down. What are some of your goals? What are some goals for you in this new year? I want you to write them down, and I want you to think about them critically. I'm going to repeat that again, okay? Write your goal down, or your goals. Write them down, and then I want you to think about them critically. Put your man brain to work here, all right? I want you to think about it critically. I want you to think about it from a logical standpoint. Logically Think about it. Come up with a plan to succeed. If you are a hunter or a fisherman, if you play sports, whatever, you know what it's like to come up with a plan to succeed in your sport, whatever that might look like. You know that you have to prep. You know that you have to make a plan. You know that if you're going to go hunting, just like this morning, I got up, I went hunting. Matter of fact, got a 10 point this morning, guys. Me and my daughter went hunting, and I shot a 10 point this morning. It was very exciting. But you know what? We had a plan. There was a plan. We were going to get up early. We had our breakfast made. We make our breakfast because we like to have breakfast in the deer stand. We like to warm it up on the buddy heater, and we have our breakfast in the deer stand. But we have our plan. We do that. My plan, I make my coffee. I have my thermos already being heated. I charge it with hot water overnight. So that plan, all those things are part of my plan so that I can be in the deer stand at a right time before the sun comes up so that whenever daylight breaks, we are there and we're ready to go. You have to be realistic. Whenever you're setting a plan to succeed, you have to be realistic. And this is what I want you to keep in mind as you are writing out your goals for this new year. Just set 2 or 3 goals. What are they? What do they look like for you? Think about them critically and come up with a plan to succeed, but be realistic, okay? What I want you to do, first of all, is I want you to set some small goals that can be accomplished with minimal effort. Goals that can be accomplished with minimal effort. And then as you accomplish those small goals, you are going to achieve and build more momentum. And the more momentum you build, the bigger the goal the bigger the goal that you're going to achieve, okay? So set small goals that are easy to achieve. I'm trying to get ahead of myself with all my words, but build small goals, set small goals that are easy to achieve with minimal effort so that you can build momentum so that you achieve larger goals, all right? Write them down, think critically about it, make a plan to succeed, and be realistic by setting small goals that can be accomplished, all right? Number 3, let's move along. I don't want us to get bogged down too much. The reason that resolutions fail is because most times they rely on willpower instead of systems. Do you know why McDonald's succeeds? Do you know why it has sold billions upon billions upon billions of hamburgers and French fries? Do you know why? It's because they have systems that are created inside that restaurant. Taco Bell's this way, Burger King, most of your successful fast food restaurants, they follow this same plan. They have systems. And that's why you can take someone who has minimal training, somebody who has very little skill set, and you can put them in McDonald's and they can go to work immediately. There's not a whole lot of training required because the company, McDonald's, has systems in place to make that employee succeed. The reason that your resolution don't succeed is because you have no system in place. You just think that you're going to white knuckle it all the way through. You're going to willpower your way all the way through. Willpower is finite. Willpower is finite. That means that it is not sustainable. It is not sustainable. Willpower is going to fail you. Why? Because you get tired, boss. You get tired. Systems are sustainable. When you have systems in place, you can go back to those systems. Systems need to be principles in your life. Principles that will always stand. Whenever I need to do X, I know that I must rely on Y, if that makes sense to you. Principles are not going to fail you, okay? Most people, whenever I'm about to give you something to go along with that. Most people, whenever they set resolutions, they never change their environment, okay? They never change their environment. And usually the reason that you want to change in the first place, or the reason that you set resolutions, is because there's something in your environment that you're not satisfied with. So for me, it was losing weight, okay? If I do not change my environment by changing what I eat, where I eat, and what foods are in my house, I will wonder. I'm going to have cravings, and I'm going to be like, oh, there's a snack in the cabinet in there. Or, man, I'm going to go get me a handful of those, or whatever it might be, and I'll start eating one. And you know what I do? Maybe you do the same thing. But I have this tendency to follow the motto of Lay's potato chips. You know, I bet you can't eat just one, because in my mind, I have always, the fat boy inside of me has always said, well, you know, you've already eaten one, you might as well eat two. And you know, if you've eaten two, you just might as well go ahead and eat a whole bag. And be like, well, I mean, I messed up already today, so I might as well just mess up the whole day. And so that was my thing, okay? So if I want to lose weight, if I want to be successful in that, I have to be willing to change my environment. I've got to change the things that are around me. You're going to have to be the same way. You have to change the environment. You've got to start working on things in a different capacity. You have to change your routines. If you keep doing the same old things, expecting different results, you are the definition of insane. You are doing things wrong. You can't do the same old things and expect a different result. It just does not happen that way. And lastly, people don't change their accountability. The reason that their resolution fails is because they don't add any accountability in their life. If you want real change, you're going to find someone who will walk this journey with you and hold you accountable. You know that. If you've been around me long enough, you know that I believe in accountability. I want you to hold me accountable, and I want you to want me to hold you accountable, because that's the way I believe that it works. If you're unwilling to change your environment, if you're unwilling to change your routine, if you're unwilling to invite accountability into your life, you're merely attempting to white knuckle discipline. And the most probable outcome for your situation is collapse under stress. You are going to get stressed out. You are going to get tired. You are going to become weary faster than you can even imagine. This is why Jesus said the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. That's Matthew 26:41. Jesus said that. He didn't say it as an excuse, guys. He wasn't trying to give you an excuse to say, oh, you know, your flesh, your spirit is willing. I mean, yeah, you've got the want to inside you, but you know what? Your flesh is just too weak to do it. No, he wasn't giving you an excuse. He was giving you a diagnosis. He was trying to tell you what's wrong with you. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with the human society is that our flesh is weak. We have been tainted by sin, and we have to bring the flesh into submission through the power of the Holy Spirit in our life. And it's just like the old Indian proverb that says, there are two wolves inside you, and the one you feed the most is the one who will win. So who are you feeding? Are you going to feed your flesh, or are you going to feed the Spirit? So remember, you're failing, your resolution is failing because you're depending on willpower rather than systems. And if you want a system that works, change your environment, change your routine, and bring accountability into your life. Number 4, there's no accountability. I know we just alluded to this in the last point, but the reason that resolutions fail is because there's no accountability. Private promises are easy to break. If you've been around me long enough, you know that this is why I talk about James 5:16. I talk about confession. I encourage confession because the Bible teaches us the discipline of confession. Admitting your problems, admitting your failures, admitting your weaknesses, being willing to come alongside somebody else so that they can be honest with you and you can be honest with them. You know, I was talking to you about my weight loss journey a while ago, and the reason that I have been as successful as I have been is because of my coach. And I'm trying to talk to you about this accountability. If you do not have a coach, if you do not have a brother, not necessarily like a physical sibling, not necessarily a blood brother, as in being your sibling, There's another word that I'm looking for that for some reason just slips my mind. But I'm not talking about your actual brother. I mean, you can have him as your brother, but I'm just talking about a man who comes along beside you, a brother who comes along beside you in accountability, like a coach would. If you don't have that coach, that brother, that community, then you're not inviting accountability into your life. There's no external pressure to persevere when things get hard if you're just over here hiding behind the bushes. You know, whenever you say to yourself, "Oh, I'm going to," and then you fill in the blank with your resolution. I'm going to lose weight, but I never tell anybody about it. If I fail, nobody knows. That's why private promises are easy to break. You can say, "Hey, I'm gonna quit porn," but you never tell anybody about what you're doing. Then when you do mess up, nobody knows. And that's exactly where the enemy of your soul wants you to be. He wants you to just stay quiet. He wants you to be a man who is unwilling to tell anybody else about his struggles, about his problems, about any of those things. And so you can just keep hiding behind the bushes. You need a coach, you need a brother, you need a community, because there's no external pressures if you don't. You need external pressures. You need that somebody in your life who's going to look at you in the eyeball and say, "Why did you do that? Why did you go that far? Why did you go that way? Why did you eat that thing?" Just like Colby with me, with my weight loss, whenever I didn't lose weight, or he could tell that my weight loss wasn't moving in the direction that it needed to go, he just flat out asked me, "Hey, what did you eat that wasn't on the meal plan? Tell me what you ate. How many calories over did you go?" And every single time, I'm telling you, because he's good at what he does and he knows what he's doing, he always knew whenever I had messed up, or when I was being untrue to the plan, and he would hold me accountable. And that's the reason why I've been successful, because I submitted myself to accountability. Listen to me, guys. Men drift in isolation. If you isolate yourself, you stay alone, you refuse to put yourself around other people who will hold you accountable, you will drift. But if you bring yourself into brotherhood, you will grow. Mark it down, what I'm telling you. You isolate yourself, you drift. But if you bring yourself into a brotherhood with other men who will bring the irons in and start clashing the irons and start sharpening the irons, then you'll grow. Number 5, people confuse outcomes with obedience. Many people quit with their resolutions or with their newly desired changes in life because they don't see quick results. You know, people confuse these outcomes with obedience. Weight doesn't drop fast enough, so they say, "Well, I'll just back away from this and I'll just give up because it's not happening fast enough." Remember what I told you a while ago? I'm down 55 pounds, but it's been 25 weeks. You understand? It's been 25 weeks since I started this weight loss journey. If I fell into the category of most of the people who make resolutions, and I quit after 30 days, or I quit after 40 days or 45 days, well, I wouldn't have made it as far as I've made it. I've been going for 25 weeks, and it's clicking right now with me. Like that's half a year, guys. Like I'm at 6 months doing this thing, and I probably have another good 6 months to go before I reach the full weight loss that I'm wanting, before I start trying to build back better and healthier and all that stuff. But whenever we look for quick results, we quit because it's not happening fast enough. I want you to think about how many men or how many women that they've quit on their marriage because the marriage doesn't improve immediately, or they give up on their spiritual disciplines because they feel dry, or they've messed up somewhere along the way, and so they just throw their hands in the air and they say, well, what's the point anyway? Why keep doing this? And they come to the conclusion, they say, well, this isn't working. I need to try something else. I need to start over. I need to go somewhere else. It has nothing to do with starting over. It has nothing to do with seeking out another plan. Stick with the plan that you have. Keep doing the discipline. Keep getting up. Keep showing up. And before long, you're going to start feeling different. You're going to start having a new energy. You're going to have this new wind in your sail, and the Lord is going to be pushing you into directions in your life that you never thought were possible. But you have to stick with it. You've got to get over that threshold, okay? You've got to quit looking for fast bailouts. You've got to quit looking for easy fixes. They don't exist, guys. They're not out there. Growth takes time, and growth often precedes visible fruit. Just because you don't see the fruit doesn't mean that it's not working inside you. Before I actually saw weight loss, there was a fire that started burning inside me because I had to start motivating my hormones and motivating my body, my testosterone, all that stuff. I had to start doing things that was beginning to get all of those things back in alignment so that my body could start burning the fat and building the muscle again the way that it did years ago. I was almost to the place to where I thought, I'm 46 years old. I'm not going to be able to get back in shape anymore. I had come to that place in my mind where I thought, man, it's just no use. There's no point in trying, until I met somebody who showed me the truth. They told me the truth, and that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. If you will stick with this, whether it be your weight loss, whether it be your spiritual development, whether it be your leadership development, it doesn't matter what it is, guys. If you will stick with it, you are going to see visible fruit. But if you quit every time the water gets hot, every time things get hard, every time a difficult thing shows up, you are never going to see visible fruit. That's why Paul wrote in Galatians 6:9, do not grow weary in doing good, for in due season you will reap a harvest. So don't give up, okay? Don't give up. Let me move on. Number 6, resolutions try to add without removing. So the reason that resolutions fail is because we are bringing this resolution in and we're saying, hey, I'm just going to keep my analogy going. I'm going to lose weight, but I don't remove something else. I can't add something to my table without pushing something off. If I don't clean the mess off my table, then I'm just going to be piling stuff on. And whenever you keep piling stuff on the table, things just get lost, okay? People stack change on top of an unchanged life. And whenever you stack change on top of an unchanged life, you just end up with an overwhelmed schedule. You just end up with more bad habits, and you just end up with more distractions. You see, you can't add discipline without removing compromise. How do you have discipline if you compromise on everything? If you're unwilling to change the things you do, the places you go, the people you hang around, you're setting yourself up for failure. And maybe some of the things that you are wanting to change in your life, it does not require a full out, quote unquote, life change. All right. I'm going to say that again. Some of the things that you want to change, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have this major remodel in your life. So you may not need to change your friends. You may not need to change the places that you're going. You may actually be doing the right thing, but you're just doing it the wrong way. And this is where I really want to start digging in with you, because I'm setting the foundation right now about where we're going to go over the next 3 to 4 weeks, okay? You might be actually doing the right thing right now, but you're just doing it the wrong way. This is why I'm saying that you need to change your schedule, all right? Change your schedule. Again, like what I said a while ago, you cannot stack change on top of an unchanged life. If you haven't changed your schedule, if you haven't changed your habits, if you haven't changed your distractions, then you're just going to keep having the same old, same old. So if you're struggling to find time to read your Bible, let's back up and say, change your schedule. All right. Let's just talk about it for a moment. If you're struggling to find time to read your Bible, change your sleep schedule so that you wake up an hour earlier. And guess what? This may mean going to bed earlier. That's why I said change your habits. If you're struggling with rising early in the morning, and I'm going to say 5 a.m., I know there's some people, they like to talk about getting up at 3, 3:30, 4, whatever. Look, it just don't work for me. 4, 4:30 just don't work. 5 o'clock is like a sweet spot for me. It gives me an hour to an hour and a half before I need to have my daughter leave with my daughter to go to school and all those different things before I go to the gym and all that. It gives me a good hour to be able to get up, get my coffee, read my Bible, do my study, prep, whatever it is that I need to do for that morning, my quiet time with the Lord to pray, all of that. And so if you're struggling to rise early in the morning, what habits do you need to change before you go to bed? Maybe you need a different sleep routine. And now I move into eliminate distractions. So remember, I said you change your schedule, you change your habits, and eliminate distractions. When you finally have that quiet time, are you distracted by your phone? I have been. I'm just going to be honest with you. I have been. But what I know, what I'm doing nowadays, I come to a realization that I get a lot of work done. If I get on an airplane and I'm traveling somewhere, I hit that airplane mode button, and all of a sudden, like, I don't get any phone calls, I don't get emails, none of that stuff. You put that airplane mode on, even while you're at home, put it on airplane mode while you're doing your quiet time, and you will get more stuff done. If you're being distracted by your phone, you need to change that distraction. Are you being distracted by your kids? Let's be for real. We can be distracted by our kids. Then you need to get up before your kids get up. You need to be doing your quiet time with the Lord, reading your Bible, studying, praying, whatever it is, you need to be doing those things before your kids get up. Are you distracted by your wife? Be honest. You can be distracted by your wife, especially if the two of you are not on the same schedule. You need to communicate what you're doing and try to get on the same page with her. If you communicate with her, say, hey, I'm really trying to do my quiet time. She may not be disciplined to do that yet, and you need to give her grace because she needs to get into that routine as well. But if you'll communicate that with her and let her know what you're trying to do, I guarantee you things are going to change. Hebrews 12:1 says, lay aside every weight and sin that clings so closely. Believe it or not, some of these things that we do, these distractions, our schedules, our habits, these things are weighting us down and they're keeping us from running our race well. And this moves me into my last point, okay? The reason why resolutions fail. This is my opinion, okay? It's my opinion. Resolutions usually aim at self-improvement instead of purpose. Resolutions aim at self-improvement. Think about this. Most resolutions are usually self-centered. They have something to do with, I want to look better, I want to feel better, I want to achieve more. But purpose is what fuels perseverance. If you don't have a purpose behind what you're doing, gentlemen, you will not last. Your fuel tank is going to burn out. Men don't suffer well for comfort. You don't suffer well for that. But you will suffer whenever you know that you have a calling in your life. This is just proof, okay? And I want to just give you one, and I'll go into this deeper through the month, but I'm going to give you one little example. Think about Joseph. Joseph, he was not going for the comforts, all right? This guy had a calling on his life. All he had was a dream. God didn't say, hey, this is what I'm going to do with you. He just had a dream, and he followed after that dream. It was God's purpose for his life. He was willing to suffer for this calling that he had on his life. David did the same exact thing. When a man knows why he's changing, he'll endure the cost of the change. The question is, do you know why you are changing? Do you know why you want to change? If you don't know why, you're not going to endure. You're not going to keep doing it. You're not going to keep paying the cost. And this is the point of this podcast series that I've titled The Power of Purpose. I want to help you see that God has given you a purpose. And if you will simply tap into that purpose, your new year can be the most productive year of your life. Here's the big truth. Resolutions fail because they ask for new behavior without a new foundation. Resolutions fail because they ask for new behavior without new foundation. Or if I could just put that another way, you can't build a disciplined life on an undisciplined identity. Gentlemen, you have so much to offer. You've got a lot of life left. And maybe you have a resolution. Maybe you've got some things this year that you really do want to change. And you're sincerely wanting to change it. Again, it's not that you lack. It's not that you lack this motivation. It's not that you lack the want to. It's just that you're not sure of what your purpose is. I want to help you find your purpose. Write your goals down, all right? Write them down. Think critically about them. Write up a plan of success. And I want you to set small goals, okay? Do this over this week. Set small goals that you can achieve with little effort, and keep building on those little goals, those little achievements, so that you can ultimately get to the big ones. I'll see you next time. I love you, and I'm praying for you. God bless. Hey guys, thanks again for listening. Remember, share, like, and subscribe. If you think this podcast could help someone else, please share it with them. Check us out on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at The Iron Pursuit. If you're interested in my personal or marriage coaching, send me an email at theironpursuit79@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening. And remember, never run from the clashing, because that is where the iron is sharpened.